So, here we have the West Philly crew. We have the Aerosol autographers. We're going to go back to history for one moment. So what we're going to notice in Sandy Padway's writing is that he actually quotes the first study. And not only do we see the walls in both studies, Sandy was clearly, he was influenced by this first study. We can see it. And he quotes Herbert Cole over 100 words. So when Sandy writes why they did it, the subtitle, it's not to knock Sandy, but Sandy didn't really answer that. He used Herbert Cole's study, and basically that study's about the kids from New York City. And Sandy didn't decide to say to these guys, hey, by the way, there was a research study, a young guy by the name of Johnny of 93, and these kids are running around writing their signatures and street numbers, and if this was done back then, possibly we wouldn't be where we are today. But undoubtedly, when the first study comes out in 1967, there clearly is over 100 kids running around in New York City, writing their names and street numbers in Manhattan, when the Philadelphia movement is just beginning. And when I shared that with these gentlemen, they didn't bat an eye. They didn't bat an eye, and they said, that's great. And I'm glad to learn about that now. I remember when everybody called me, you like, this Johnny Cool, you like, his name was Johnny Cool. And they had there was no feeling like something was being robbed from them. But what I noticed with the younger generations of Philadelphia cats is that they've listened to Cornbread for decades. And you can't tell them anything. They're just going to keep saying, Cornbread was first. All I wanted to do was a great job for Philadelphia and bring this history forward again. The Michael Douglas Show. All of the stuff we talked about today, it's all the West Philadelphia crew. Al Diaz is going to come up for a moment. Let's have a big round of applause for Bob One.
So I'm a first generation New York City graffiti writer. Me and SJK went to high school together. So I have one of the things that I'm driven by is telling a story correctly. It kind of bothers me when people fuck up the details on history. Especially when history about people who are still alive, because we're here to tell that. If somebody is telling the story wrong and you lived it, it is your obligation to step in and say, no, it didn't happen like that. Right. Because that's part of your history, and if you have any kind of self-worth, that means something to you. So I was actually. One of the things, I'm an artist, I work as an artist, make my living as an artist at this point in my life. I'm 66, so it took me all my life to be able to make a living as an artist, because I work construction most of my life. So these days I'm asked to do classes with, I wrote a book, I curated a big show about a history, not the history, a history of New York City graffiti, about 3 years ago, and along with that, me and two other people put a book together of a history of a pictorial history, a timeline of New York City history, starting with the person that we all always assumed was the first guy to be noticed, who was Julio 204, but since that, the material that David has researched, dug out of I don't know where, but he found it, and it's all legit. I actually have passed that on to, I haven't added it to the, we have not edited the book yet, but we will add that, because it changes the whole, the narrative from 69 or whatever, when Julio was 67 to much earlier, with these kids that were, adding a number to their name, because that's really what defines our culture. It's not just writing your name, it's the fact that we had a name or a nickname followed by a number, and that's kind of what, the basic element of a tag, in the New York City tag anyway. So so that changed, it changes the narrative, because it goes back even further. From 69 to 1960 is kind of a big deal, you know? So anyway, so I have since then made sure that whoever, if I should share any kind of research stuff with people, that they get that information as well, because it's important. It's part of our history, and it's important it changes the narrative. Anyway, and I appreciate that.
Yes, and thank you so much. So I just said that this is Al Diaz as Bomb 1. Bomb 1 was a famous graffiti writer in New York City. He was a wall writer. He wrote on the trains. He did all of this. But also, that's the gentleman that started SAMO with Jean-Michel Basquiat. Okay? So there's a lot of research comes out of Philadelphia, and they assume that SAMO was a person. SAMO is that same old shit, okay? That same old shit on the welfare line, that same old shit in the supermarket. That's what SAMO means. So SAMO would come up, ... and then a line would come after it. Oh, the milk prices are up. Whatever was going on at that point. So SAMO's not a person, and SAMO never wore a crown. The crown comes later with Basquiat. When Basquiat passed away, he never heard about cornbread. We have our own crowns in New York City that he saw here. And that's what he's influenced by. But Culture Livingston in the Tag City, he did a whole piece on how Basquiat was cornbread all day. Holy shit. Where is this coming from? So here's Al Diaz letting you know SAMO is not a person, because in that documentary he said SAMO was a person, and that was his tag, and he wore a crown. You have to speak to the source. We're not going to do this anymore. This is why Philadelphia is here. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. I can't tell you how much I respect you for coming up here and sharing your testimonies with us. And look at the love in the room.